Yay, we're working.
This is the Vmax VX4 GT. Let's get this puppy opened up. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it out for a spin and share with you what I like and what I don't like about this amazing scooter. One user manual with well, that was pretty simple, just lifting it up and out. It's nice that they're color coded. We'll line up the arrows and connect them. Okay, remove before use. Oh, I like this. Indicators on the side, really comfortable. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Oh, that's a nice. Well, that was a pretty simple unboxing. Basically what I'm gonna do now is charge up the battery, fill up the tires, and take it out for a spin and share with you what I like and what I don't like about the VX4 GT. Guten Tag, Eric. Wie geht's? Bonjour. Comment allez-vous?
Hey, Tim. What do you got today?
Today, I've got the Vmax VX4 GT. So why am I standing here with Swiss chocolate, cowbells from Switzerland, and meeting Eric while he's eating Swiss chocolate and enjoying this beautiful sunshine? That's because I'm trying out the Vmax, and the Vmax GT4 is in fact designed by people in Switzerland. Yours truly lived in Switzerland for a while. I loved the country. It's a beautiful country, not a cheap place to live, but man, do they know something about engineering. Now, I have tried the previous Vmax without suspension, and it was wonderful. Perhaps one of the best engineered electric scooters I've ever tried. And this one does not disappoint. It's absolutely terrific. One of the biggest standout features is this has suspension. So I'm a big fan of suspension. I think it just opens up the door to so many other individuals, whether it's you live in a city where you've got some uneven road surfaces, maybe you're doing a little slight light off-roading, then this might be just for you. There are a few things I really like about this electric scooter, and there are a few things I'm not 100% sold on. But let's cover that with me riding around Victoria. Eric's gonna follow me around with the camera. I'm gonna share you with what I like, what I don't like about the VX4 from Vmax. And this happens to be the GT version. And the GT version has a huge battery. They have two other versions, the LT and the ST, slightly smaller batteries. I'll put the specs up here, but they all have a very common look. They're all exactly like this, just the battery size. Anywho, I'm gonna keep finishing. I'm gonna finish off some chocolate here and play around with this cowbell. Let me talk about braking on this thing. We've got three different types of braking. We've got a drum brake at the very front. We've got a disc brake at the very back. And we've got regen brakes as well. So triple braking system. Now, the other thing I want to share with you is that this is one of the only scooters I've ever had, which is a 500-watt scooter that's actually made it up the hill of death. And that's because the controller allows it to dump for short periods of time up to 1500 watts. And you can see that right on the display as you're riding around. So when I hit that hill of death, I was going really slowly at the bottom. Now, it didn't crush the hill of death by any stretch of the imagination, but it got up the hill of death. And I'm a big guy. I'm 265 pounds, 6 feet tall. That's a lot of resistance. And this little 500-watt motor, no problem, right up the hill of death. So I think that's really impressive.
The Hill of Death.
I also love the fact that it has cruise control. Alrighty, so we're gonna do a suspension test here, and this is the trestle bridge. This is the worst case scenario for anybody on an electric scooter. And it's not, I mean, it's certainly not as easy going as if you're on an e-bike, but the suspension, the air-filled tires, this is not bad at all. Yeah, this is not bad at all. I think it sounds amazing. Yes, it sounds awesome. Seems pretty chill. I don't know, what do you guys think? Hot tub on a boat in the water. It's basically just a boat, a hot tub that floats around. You know, it's got a little motor at the back, a little fire going to warm up the water. So up here on the left, we're gonna pull over and walk and go out. There's a space I think that will be kind of interesting. Right about, yeah, here it is. We'll go in here. So all Vmaxes are UL2272 SGS certified batteries. What does that mean? It means they're safe. You can charge them up, no problems whatsoever. You can charge them up in your home. You can charge them up in the office. There's no fire risk. Everything is protected. So that's really good news. Weight-wise, it weighs about, this one is the big one. This is the GT, so it's not the big battery. It weighs about 63 pounds. So chunky, that's for sure. And speaking of chunky, it's got a max weight of 330 pounds. So if you happen to be a little chunky, maybe you're eating too much Swiss chocolate, no problem whatsoever. Now you just saw me riding across the bridge. That is possibly the worst bridge for electric scooters by far. It's absolutely terrible. The boards are pretty narrow and the gaps are pretty big and they're uneven. And this ate it up without any issue whatsoever. I don't recommend that, but if you happen to have a bumpy spot or a bumpy spot in your trip that you have to worry about, it's not gonna be a big issue whatsoever. Pretty straightforward. I also want to talk about a little bit about the handlebars, because as you're riding across and you're hitting those bumps, even though the suspension is helping you knock out all those bumps, and so is the air-filled tires, the actual handlebars, I love them. They're so comfortable. They're so grippy. They're comfortable. Also, the deck is grippy. So even if it was a bit rainy or a little bit miserable out, it's that super sticky deck. It's not going to look beautiful anymore because I've been stepping all over it, but you're not going to slip off it. I absolutely think that's amazing. So we're going to keep going here, and I'm going to share with you what I like and what I don't like a little bit more. I'm going to share with you a little bit about the display. I'm going to share with you about the indicators and things like that. And yeah, let's keep going. So Eric doesn't know I'm going to ask him to do this, but Eric, can you hear me okay? Eric says he's nodding, yes. Eric, I'd like you to imagine for a moment that you have the charging cord for the Vmax scooter. I'd like you to pretend to plug it in. Where do you plug it in? Where do you think you're going to plug it in?
Okay, good question. Good. Oh my God, it's so hidden.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
That was hilarious. I'm like, where is it?
God, I've never seen something so
hidden.
Yeah, that's
Is that amazing?
yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit about the display. It is absolutely lovely, super easy to read, and what's really nice is that when you engage the throttle a little bit, you can see that the watts go accordingly. And I've seen that hit 1500 watts, no problem, so I like that. So one of the things I absolutely love about this, and it just speaks to Swiss engineering, Swiss design, and that has to do with how well it's made. Let's talk about a few other things about that. The motor, it's absolutely silent. Now remember, this is a 500 watt motor that peaks out at 1500 watts, and it's quiet. It doesn't matter if you're going up a hill using up absolute maximum wattage, or if you're cruising around using cruise control, which is something else I love on this. The cruise control on this is lovely. Just cruising along here, it kicks in, it's easy to engage, it's easy to disengage. Love the cruise control. Oh, that's right. And this is a big deal if you're a little bit taller. The stem height, from the deck to the stem, just over 40 inches. So I'm having absolutely I'm having absolutely no problems riding around. I find it lovely. So what do I like and what don't I like about the Vmax VX4 GT? Let's start off with what I don't like. And really the only thing I don't like is the folding mechanism. Let me just show you. For some it's gonna be fine, but for me, not so much. Now, I happen to be somebody who doesn't do a whole lot of folding anyway, but I've just found that the way that this is put together is just a little bit weird. It's fine as long as you keep tension on it, then you'll be fine. You can actually lift it up and carry it around. But if there's any tension left off it, it's away. So I'm not a big fan of that. I like it to be locked in place and secure, especially because it's a pretty heavy unit. It's 63.6 pounds if memory serves me. But that's a minor thing. It's really minor, certainly because I hardly ever fold it. A scooter, I typically like to carry things like this. That's also a minor thing as well, is that at the back here, there's not really a spot for me to hang on to with my hand. So really only two minor things I don't like. But what do I like? Oh my goodness, lots. The GT, of course, it has a massive battery. It's what, 23 or about 23 amp hours, which is huge range. The 48 volt, 500 watt motor that peaks out at 1500 watts, that's extraordinary power. I mean, it had this big guy going up the side of the hill of death, no problems. The grips are terrific. I really like the fact that it has indicators. Now the indicators up here and down here, best of both worlds. The ride, tubeless 10-inch tires, super comfortable ride. The brakes, triple braking. Front drum, rear mechanical, plus regenerative braking. The display is gorgeous. The ride's lovely. Lighting front and rear. Even got a cute little bell. I love integrated bells. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. Two big thumbs up, big guy approved. Love the Vmax.
Big guy approved.
One thing I must warn you against, and that is price comparisons. You can find other scooters out there for a little bit less money, but the engineering, the mechanics of this is superior. There's no question about it. Vmax puts out a very high quality machine. Everything about it is top quality. If you're looking for quality, Vmax is absolutely the way to go. Yes, it's gonna cost you a few extra dollars, but oh my goodness, you're gonna get all that wonderful engineering and terrific manufacturing. Hidden gem, if you're here in Victoria and you wanna find a really cool spot for a coffee, this is it. They're lovely. The treats are amazing. But we've got a new sort of, how would you say it, segment that we're gonna add to some of the videos. This new segment, we've come up with absolutely terrible idea so far. What's the terrible idea number one we've come up with to name the segment? And in fact, you know what?
I'm drawing a blank. What did I say before?
It was so bad, we're not even gonna mention it.
Candid Convo. That's
Candid Combo, yes. If you can think of a better name for it, put that down in the comments down below. Help us out. So Eric and I were just having fun. We're just being out and about filming the video. Few thoughts. What deep thoughts does Eric have today on the Vmax VX4 GT?
Well, yeah, I remember you let me ride the VX2 before. And
yes.
Remember, I didn't want to give it back.
That's right.
I thought it was, I mean, I've ridden a lot of scooters, as you have. You let me ride pretty much everyone that you get in.
Yep.
So I've had a lot of experience with them. And that one was so memorable because of something that is very hard to describe. But I think we described it best when we sort of talked about the Swiss engineering. That's really what it comes down to, is it felt so solid, so safe. You often hear, the term build quality thrown around. This
so
was
true.
To a max. I mean, not a single rattle or something that is not precision engineered. And it just really came through in the overall experience. And it's one of those things that you can't put a spec to.
I've got to say there are some things that I was pleasantly surprised about with it. For example, the battery. I know it's a big battery, but as you pointed out, it's only a 500 watt motor. So we've been riding around, I think we've done around 15 or 16 kilometers, and it still says 95% battery.
Yeah, we should actually prove that.
I'll show that.
It's quite unbelievable. That
it's kind of nuts, right?
It's a massive battery for a commuter scooter, yet it's not super heavy, as you mentioned. 63 pounds or so.
Yeah,
that's certainly fine for carrying upstairs, throwing into the back of a car. So it still is a commuter scooter. But the other thing I'm noticing is that look at the clearance.
Yeah.
Like that's going to give you no issues on. We've got a lot of speed bumps, right?
We do.
And going up curbs, which are things that you don't often think about with little commuter scooters. When you're in the city, first of all, I think suspension is a must in the city as much as it is on the trail off-road.
Yeah.
Certainly in 2024. This was not true even a year ago. You should have a scooter that has a really good IP rating.
100%.
No reason not to buy one now with anything less than IPX5 at a minimum.
Yeah.
But many of them are coming out with IPX6, this one.
Which is what this is.
Right.
Which basically means that if you hit a puddle, you're fine. If you're riding in the rain, you're fine.
Kind of deal.
So are you okay if we leave it at your place for a few weeks now and try it out?
Well, let me think.
Let's do that then. Let's leave it at your place. We'll give you a few weeks with it to see how you like it. Maybe you can come back and we'll do a follow-up video with
Absolutely,
it.
I'd be
do a
happy to.
comparison.
Yep.
Okay, let's do that. Cheers.
Cheers.